Well, obviously, financially, the biggest need right now is that sanctuary because they're growing. So already the structure where they're at is getting too small and too confined. So the sanctuary is their primary of what they need to raise money for. But I mean, there's like a patio area that he's developing. So it's an overflow area. I mean, he's constantly thinking of different things, you know, and he has a little cafe that they're putting on the outside so they can raise money. They're going to be getting coffee, and they're going to open up a cafe so he can employ some of his own people. But as well, it's just going to be, he said, like here, it's like not, it's going to be easier because you're not feeling like you have to be inside the church. My church staff and everybody will be on hand to get to know the community so they feel not pressured, like come into our church, but we are the church serving them.
So that cafe will be open kind of during the week.
Yes.
As a on-ramp into ministry.
Correct.
Plus they'll service all those kids that are playing at the soccer fields every evening.
Is that
cafe is also a snack shop.
Yes. Wow. Yes. And it'll be a snack shop.
Yep. So they'll be able to just minister, have conversations, connect with all kinds of families from the community.
That's so cool.
So the funds that we need to raise aren't, and we're not, I just want to make this clear, we're not the only church that are raising funds to help them as well, because it's not, I mean, this building that they're building is solid. It has to be. There are winds that they get through. I mean, it has to be built very soundly.
Sure.
And so, I mean, it's very, very expensive to build a sanctuary that they're building, but it's a very modest building. But so they have other donations that are coming in as well. He's not relying on us, but their people are tithing as well. So yes, there is a big financial commitment to get the sanctuary up and ready for services.
And we know it's just like here. I mean, it costs money to do ministry.
Yes.
I mean, it just does. There's different costs that are associated with that. So we want to help out in that area as well.
And it's not just brick and mortar. So I want to make that, we learned a long time ago, it's about the relationships and it's about what they can do in the community. So if we help them build this church and we help them continue to expand their community out, their outreach to the community, they need money to do compassionate ministries, to do food for the community, to do things within the schools and things like that. So it's a bigger picture than, it's not just about brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So no matter what we do, it'll be just this continuum of outreach in their community to bring, Jesus Christ to those that are out in the community that don't know him.
I love that you said that, because to me, that's the coolest part. Because for us, we're thinking, okay, we're giving globally, and that almost in our mind checks a box for like outreach. But what's cool is it's not just going to something for a church community. It's for their community.
Correct.
It's all very strategic, saying, hey, these kids are playing soccer here. We're going to feed them. Hey, we are positioned between these two schools. We're going to bring those kids in so that we can reach their parents. And our sanctuary can't even fit that. And so it's very evangelistic, which is, I think, super, super exciting. And John, I know when you heard about all of this opportunity and financially how we could help, the phrase that popped into your mind was, let's do a double tithe Sunday.
Yes. Yeah. I was in prayer for Costa Rica, and I felt like that thought just flooded into my mind, a double tithe Sunday. And what that looks like basically is, we would give our tithe. What we would normally give, we'd give our tithe to the church. And then on top of that, we're going to have one day, one Sunday, where we would give an extra tithe that would go all towards Costa Rica. It'd be part of our supernatural love that we do every year. But that one special offering, that extra tithe would go towards Costa Rica. And really my goal is to raise $30,000 on that one Sunday, that one double tithe, raise $30,000, which will help fund the ministry over the next couple of years, our different trips and the ministry that will be taking place down there. That doesn't cover people's airfare and, funds to get there. That funds the ministry that we're going to do while we're there. So that's my goal, for this fall, is to raise that money and just to see us set up for the next couple of years to pour life and ministry and come alongside them and do ministry and just see their community transformed.
That's so cool. So not only do we have trips in the works, but there's this ongoing opportunity to give financially. But I love that we're leaning into what we always do every year, which is called Supernatural Love, and saying this is a huge focus for us this year. What's interesting is this is how God works, right? Yeah. Because God's ideas to me initially never really make sense. They never really sound strategic. And I think about our economy. I think about inflation. I think about even where we're positioned here in the city of Warren. You know, there are families who are working very hard just to provide for their own families. Yep. And so, you know, with that, what would you guys say to encourage our congregation? Why, even though this might not sound strategic or smart, why should someone consider giving to this new partnership during our Supernatural Love period?
You're right on, Jess. I mean, we're living in an economy that's not super right now. Inflation's high. Groceries, I don't even want to talk about the price of groceries. There you go. You know, gas has been high. I mean, I've felt it in my own family, you know, just the having to tighten up, you know, in areas and just making sure that the basics are there. You know, I've felt that some and I know our families are feeling that. But here's what I know about the Lord. It's like when the Lord puts something like this on our heart, and we buy into the vision that God has placed in for us, He always provides. He never fails. He is always faithful. He's never let me down. Whenever He's asked me to give something special, whenever He's just simply asked for my obedience in tithing on a regular basis, every paycheck, tithing to the Lord, He has never failed me. He has always provided everything that we would need. And I remember, and I've testified on Sunday morning in my sermons before about this, but I remember Holly and I first married, I mean, barely making ends meet. In fact, there were months when numbers didn't add up. Our bills cost more than what we were bringing in. And I don't know how it happened. I still to this day don't know how, but man, God always provided. And Holly and I, from the get-go, decided that we're going to tithe no matter what. That's going to be the first thing. And we always tithe, and God always provided. And He's done that for our entire marriage for the last 23 years. He's done that our entire marriage. He's always provided in every situation. So I totally trust Him. Yeah. Like I'm going to gladly and joyfully give this extra tithe towards Costa Rica because I know the impact it's going to have there. And I'm not going to worry about myself or because I know God's going to replenish that, replace that, bless us in so many different ways because of our obedience to that.
Yeah. And I love that because it becomes less about here's what the church is doing. Here's what Pastor John said we should do. We have time. You know, this big Supernatural Love offering, it's happening December 10th. And so really the first step, it sounds like, is to pray.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like pray and ask God, like, what does that look like for you to supernaturally give and supernaturally be generous? Because when it's from God, then it all adds up in the end. He always provides.